Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Katelyn, and today we are finally continuing the 100 Dragon Challenge. So I was really excited to jump into this theme that you guys were suggesting. There's been a lot of really good suggestions. So if you guys would like to suggest a dragon submission, go ahead and head over to my Discord. There's a link down in the description. Make sure to kind of like hang out and chat with the community first, kind of meet some people, introduce yourself, and then feel free to post a dragon suggestion. But for today, we had so many versions of this suggestion. I'm sorry if I missed your comment, but today we have the Snail Dragon. We have a lot of different comments from you guys, both on YouTube and on Discord, and I thought this was gonna be a really fun and cute prompt. So let's go ahead and jump into it and get some sketches started. So with this guy, I had a couple of things to kind of brainstorm and figure out, because a snail you can kind of, I guess, convert into a dragon in a few different ways. This first one I was thinking of making it much more like, I guess you just say the snail face. Like I really wanted to have like the outstretched eyes, which I can't remember what the scientific term for it is, so please don't kill me. And then just kind of having this amorphous blob looking body, kind of like how snails are. I just was trying to really replicate the face neck structure of a snail, but also make it look like a dragon. So we had to throw in some teeth, but I did think about using a snail mouth because those things are fucking frightening. But I was like, that might look a little weird. It might look more like an elephant if I put it at the end of kind of like a dragon-like face. So I decided, you know, to really make this sell as a dragon, I should just make it look like a snail-like dragon and make sure to have some very key characteristics of a dragon. So with that though, I had to make it look like a snail. So I thought about how I would want to structure the shell on its back. And to make it look more dragon-like, I'm like, well, we could add spines and spikes and kind of make it more of like a sharp shell. I think that would add like a really cool effect and for sure give it that dragon flair that we need. But then another idea that I had that I kind of played around with next was, what if I put the shell on the head? And at first I thought that'd be kind of a cool little extra add-on to the top of the head, give it some flair, give it some personality. But then I'm like, no, that kind of makes it not really a snail. I should really embrace the full snail look and give it the full snail shell back and make it look like, you know, an overall snail body. I do kind of like the shell looking back at it now. It does add a nice little touch to it, but I'm kind of happy that I just went with the shell on the back. I think it ended up turning out a lot better there. That's the sentence. But yeah, either way, I was really happy where these initial sketches were going. So then now it's time to jump in and get the final drawing started. So with this drawing, I knew I needed to show the full body for sure to really get the idea of the snail. Like if I had the shell on the top of the head and then just did a portrait from there, it would probably convey it enough to be like, okay, I think that's a snail. But I really wanted to fully embrace the overall snail look and just make this thing look like a really cool slug snail thing with the full shell on the back. So I kind of had an idea for sure of what I wanted to do for the overall body. Like I planned it out in my rough sketch, but one of the things I struggled with while I was trying to brainstorm this was what snail to use as my basis. And that was kind of tough because the snails that I know, at least here in Arizona, anytime I see a snail, they have a blackish, brownish shell. Usually we either have the more curly ones. It's kind of like the long, I can't think of anything today. It's more like the spike shell, like it curls up. Like if you were to get soft serve, you know, it's like thicker at the bottom, then it slowly swirls up into the tip. That's the type of ones we have here in Arizona, at least in my part of the valley. We don't really have the ones with the big curly shell. So I thought, well, we have those ones, but they're kind of boring on the colors. They're blacks and browns, and that's kind of it. And I know there's some other cool colored snails because when my husband and I were in college, we actually had a fish tank and had a couple different snails that rotated through that fish tank. One of them was this really pretty one with a yellow shell. So I was like, well, what if I did kind of like a yellowish, reddish, orange, kind of matches like a fire dragon feel, even though I wouldn't make this a fire dragon per se, but you know, it has a dragon feel automatically when it's in those color ranges. But I was like, I should really branch out and try some really exotic different colors. So I sat and brainstormed with a friend trying to figure out what colored snail I should do, and she found this really gorgeous swirly blue one with some green accents to it. So I for sure wanted to go with that. I did in this part, as you can see, I did test out those browns and yellows that I was thinking of at first, but I was like, no, that's kind of boring. So I wanted to do this really gorgeous blue and green shelled snail. And I'm really glad I went with that choice because I think it just adds so much more life and personality to this guy. I can't wait for you guys to see the end with all the colors. So now with the color choice done and out of the way, it was time to figure out how to actually color this guy. So I wanted to make sure his body looked kind of wet and viscous like a usual snail like body looks. And I had to think about how I wanted this guy colored exactly, because the original snail picture, I'm gonna have to look up what type of snail it's called and maybe figure it out on the way through this video. But anyway, it has this really cool blue speckling that I really liked, and I knew I wanted to highlight that. So I first started out by laying down the light blues so that I could get the speckling to show up on the skin. And how I replicated that was by going through with the darker blue and just kind of making those speckles and circles as I colored in that color. Instead of trying to go through and like really meticulously color in like circles that I made with the darker one already, I thought this would be the easier and more efficient way. And yes, it ended up being really easy and quick. And I actually really like how the speckles turned out. And I wanted to make sure to have lots of color throughout this guy. Like I just really wanted to ham up the blues and the colors. So I added it in places that it might have not been on the original snail that I was referencing. And then I also made him have like a bit of a gray body because it kind of worked with the bluish tones and hints. Like it kind of looks like a water-ish snail with the blues and grays and then later greens. And it just kind of sold the idea that this was a snail body. Especially later on when I add the highlights with the whites, it just works so well, and I think it looks like a very slimy looking creature. So now here we are at the part I struggled with, the shell. I was very like second guessing on the shell through the entire time I was doing this because I was trying to I was trying to interpret the picture that I was looking at to try to figure out how the different shades of colors and greens and blues reflected off of the shell and how I could make it look the same with my Copics. And it's still something I kind of feel I didn't nail 100% if I'm to be honest. Like, I still do like this guy and I think he turned out pretty fun, but I wish I could have figured out that shell a little bit more. If I remember correctly, the day I drew this, I was kind of like, I'm not really feeling it. Later on, I did like him, but while I was drawing it, I was kind of like, I don't really like it as much. But yeah, I still wish I figured out how to nail the coloring on that shell just a little bit more. I feel it was good, like good enough, but it's not great. Like I think I could have nailed it a little bit better, but I didn't know how to get it to change to the colors that I saw in the picture. And maybe if I spent more time on it and really refined it and like put in multiple layers of the shell coloring, it probably would have turned out a little bit closer, but you know, it is what it is. All right, and there we have it. We are all done with the Snail Dragon. Thanks for the awesome suggestion, guys. This was really, really fun. But let's go ahead and jump into the ice cream dragons that you guys submitted last time. So you guys had a lot of really cute entries. Like this was another tough one. Like the ice cream dragon was a great one for you guys to do. So first of all, JCB, I don't know how to pronounce the rest of your username, but I'm sorry if I butcher it anyway, but I love that you picked the banana to be the mouth of the dragon. That's just such a smart and cute idea. Absolutely love it. And then Rosa May Cosplay, I think I pronounced your username right. I love that you made it an ice cream sundae and you have like the 3 different scoops of flavors as 3 different dragons. I thought that was a super cute idea. Absolutely love it. Really, really awesome work. And then to the rest of you guys, amazing work. There was some really cool like mix and match of like the Neapolitan idea of the vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. And then we had like a lot of different interesting interpretations of like swirled ice cream or the different horn types or anything like that. Really cool ideas. So if you guys would like to participate in the next 100 Dragons challenge of you designing a snail dragon, make sure to post your submissions on either Twitter or Instagram under the hashtag KM100Dragons. So thanks again, guys, so much for stopping by and checking out this video, and I cannot wait to see your guys' interpretations of snail dragons. I think they're gonna be really cool, and there's so many different colored snails. I can't wait to see all of your guys' interpretations. So thanks again, guys, so much for stopping by, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.